Hello, this is the uh, CRINK streamer. Yes, I'm watching a video and I wanted to discuss it with the stream here. So I saw this Adam Carolla show, and Xi Van Fleet is that's right, Korean War. We fought the Chinese already, the communist Chinese. We fought with them in World War II. Yeah, we I've always said that we are in a war with China right now. It's just a kind of a cold war, kind of a soft war. So what they're talking about is the Chinese Communist Party has decided to sell the materials to make fentanyl to um, the Mexican gangs. So that's what they're talking about. Yeah, I mean, we're in a kind of a soft war with them. In other words, we're not in a hot war. We're in a soft war. Everything is state operated in China. That's what you got to realize this, right? Not to mention the Wuhan virus. Yeah, now he's gonna start swearing a lot, but basically he's talking about um yeah, it's about the. This is an interesting aspect of let's let's see what they say at the end of him talking to G Bentley. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, they're getting into politics now. Yeah, we know communism doesn't work and capitalism works better. Even the TCP tried it for a little while, and that's how they were able to increase their. That's how they were able to increase their economy so well, and then they're starting to clamp down again. That's a problem. So I found this um okay, it's a little crazy. So I found this Hudson Institute. Let me find it for you. Okay, let's go into. I have it on my other computer. This computer is for the streams. Of course, it's going to mess me up now. Anyway, this is an interesting. Um, it discusses the some of the pitfalls of the Chinese economy, including the real estate market. That's basically the bottom line. Bottom line is the this is a very long article, and at the very end, let's so yes, there a lot of the state-owned entities are operating at a loss, including as time went on, from 15% all the way to 30% now. 30% of the companies are operating at a loss. So, what else did I want to discuss here? This is an interesting little the debt. You know how we always complain of our own debt. Well, the Chinese have ever larger amounts of debts. Not the thing is, we're talking about the CCP. Whenever I say Chinese, I'm talking CCP because the CCP controls China, not the Chinese people. And notice this is a another blog post here. No, China is not the adult in the room. That's because to prop up their economy, because it's export driven, they have to all the state-owned enterprises borrow more and more money. They basically are devaluing their currency, but they're not allowing people to leave with their money. Because normally, if you have this situation, you would probably leave. Money would leave the country, but it can't leave. So it's creating these perverse like incentives and these weird situations. I mean, it is leaving, but very, very slowly. So as you noticed here, the capital efficiency ratio is at the level of Japan at this point, which kind of makes sense because the cultures of both countries are similar, and eventually they will they will find their bottom. They will find where they normally are. So there's an interesting point that I found this year. Chi Ji Chua, or I'm not. I don't know how to properly pronounce Chinese names. So this economist In he was speaking on the real estate market, and this whenever you see .163.com, that is basically a Chinese um, website. I've made that note before for many different reasons. It's easier for Chinese to write the numbers than it is to use the Chinese characters as numbers. So they also like these types of numbers, and they created a website. When a website says 163.com, that means it's Chinese. So what I did was I went to Grok and had Grok um translate that speech that's in Chinese. So obviously, it's not going to be that good because it's Grok, and also, translations. Unless you truly know the languages between you're not going to be as the translation isn't going to be perfect. So it is a very long speech, but I did want to discuss it just a little bit, and I know it's going to it's just a lot of text, and obviously there's no I could I've translated it. I guess it's just a ton of text at this point. So what really do I want to discuss? So let's just discuss. Um, well, let's just discuss the number one problem, which is the real estate problem. So here we go. It has such a The sharp adjustment in recent years has first and foremost dragged down China's economic growth. It has also caused unemployment. In recent years, the unemployment rate has remained persistently above 5%, and a large part of that is due to the deep adjustment in real estate. This affects both economic growth and social employment. Second, it has created significant pressure on local government finances. Last year, land transfer revenue was 4.87 trillion yuan, down 44% from 2021 peak. Taxes such as deed tax and land appreciation tax have also declined to varying degrees. This change in land finance is a major reason for the current fiscal difficulties faced by many local governments in China. To be frank, one of the most noteworthy contradictions in China's economic operation last year was the fiscal difficulties of local governments. It is to be said that over 90% of prefecture and county level governments and over 80% of provincial level governments experience varying degrees of revenue shortfalls, leading to difficulties in production, daily life, and government operations. This is largely because land finance suddenly shrank dramatically, making it hard for local governments to sustain themselves. This is the second impact. Third, it has also had a major impact on financial institutions. In recent years, issues such as non-performing assets in financial institutions caused by real estate developers' defaults, thunderstorms, this is what he calls thunderstorms, personal credit defaults, and local government debt problems have all created significant risks for financial institutions. We talk about the three major the provided tax cuts off here. So, okay, the provided text cuts off here. That's funny. Okay, anyway, so that's done. So that was all they wanted to transcribe in Chinese. He may have talked about something else, but he was getting into too much stuff that was getting to the heart of the matter. So that's it. No more discussion. Anyway, what did he say a little bit earlier? He was just talking a little more about of the general environment and stuff. That was the main point. That is that the local governments, the county governments, the prefecture governments, that's kind of like the states. So the equivalent in the United States is the state, the city, the county governments. They are all in trouble because normally they live off real estate taxes. So since there's no real estate being sold, there's no real estate being developed or not enough, they're in deep trouble. So okay, I wonder if we can find something. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see something here. Okay, yeah, this is 2 years ago, so these are all older. This I like to listen to Lay's Real Talk. This is her. Oh, I've seen. Oh, okay, this is Center for Strategic International Studies. This is an interesting. It's a 1 hour long video, and if you notice, I watched 49 minutes of it. So they discuss some of the same things. They're essentially, he asked the three economists, how do you rate the Chinese economy from 0 being really bad and 10 being really good? And everybody rated it 5 and 6 at first, and then one of the economists said 4. And that was the Chinese that's right next to him. Anyway, so he said number 4. This guy believes that 5. So we're not talking here. The official numbers of the CCP are never accurate. So let's just take a look at this. What came up. This is part of the speculative building. Right, right, they and they don't even have that many people anymore. This is the problem when you invest in this. So the problem was they built all these because, and what the way it was working is you would put money down on an apartment, and they would take that money and they would build another building. They wouldn't finish the original one. They would just start building another one. So in essence, your apartment that you put money down on will never get finished. So the Chinese are okay with some of that because they believe in like a feng shui where you don't want to live in somebody else's building. They like it to be completely empty, and then as you right before you move in, they finish putting all the finishing touches on everything. Like the carpets, and they would uh, paint the walls, etc. The problem is these developers have taken this to the next level. So they created these husks of buildings. And they still were charging, and they never finished anything. And they kept building new buildings. So you can see where this came from. So why am I discussing all this stuff? And I normally talk about cybersecurity and stuff like that. Well, because China economic problems create um, cybersecurity attacks. That's what I believe. This is the issue. So these are from years ago. This is the this channel. Russia and China using AI to escalate U.S. cyber attacks. This is a some local. Remember this attack onto CrowdStrike? This is this was attacking multiple places actually, and actually the hackers are creating accounts on Amazon and attacking us with Amazon. This is part of their China and Russia's soft war. They're not using kinetic or the actual bombs. They're attacking with cyber attacks. And this will only increase as their economy falters, as more and more problems occur in Russia and China. What else is in here? They're just talking about this particular issue. Well, okay, let's take a look at this one. This is a good one. This is what I'm talking about. The difficulty of the country. Because it's easy to attack everyone, right? I actually cyber news is on my top 30 list. Yeah, I pointed them out in my book. I mean, this, yeah, because it's designed that way by the Russian government. That's right. This is the thing that we don't understand. We don't seem to realize the information warfare someone in Russia or China is constantly under to do what the governments of those regions want you to do. That's right. Now you're on the dark net. Now you can attack other people using your computer. Yeah, this is interesting. It's a good way to explain a little bit of what's going on with the with which is why I want to make this focus on CRINK. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, because this same concept is specific not just to Russia, but it also goes. It's 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 not just towards the Russian people. It's also towards the Chinese people, the North Koreans, and the Iranians. I mean, just so happens that in Iran right now, there's a different situation because they're getting attacked, and they may be having a hard time having any kind of information warfare on them at all at this point. But this is why I think it's a good idea to 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 try to affect some change in Iran because it also actually affects China. It definitely affects China. Iran has been very much supported by China. Anyway, I just wanted to discuss the economic information that I found from the Hudson Institute and the bad state of the economy, which means that they're pushing people to do to attack us in different ways, in which just like Leonid here, we're being attacked by these countries because all these people are forced into it. They they don't want to go on the front in Ukraine. They want to be able to come home every night, and why not attack the West online? This is the thing. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. I think we've been on the air for a while. So thank you for anybody that came on, and I guess I didn't really pay attention to that right now. Guess I should be paying attention to that, but we'll see as I do this more often. Let me know if you think it's a